Welcome to my watercolour YouTube channel. I'm Karen Rice. I'm going to be painting a step-by-step watercolour flower painting of some beautiful white anemones. This painting is going to be very loose. I'm going to try to be as creative as I can with the colours and the textures and the mark making, and most of all just have some fun playing with watercolour. And here is a list of the colours that I'll be using in this tutorial, and for alternatives please see the description, but they're part of my SCHMINCKE paint box set. These are the materials that I'll be using, and you can find a full list of these in the description below with links of where you might want to purchase them. And here is the beautiful photograph that I'll be using, and a link for this can also be found in the description below. A sketch outline is available on my Patreon membership. Just click the link in the top right hand corner and it will give you more details. There are longer tutorials with lots more tips and techniques and lots more voiceovers, so why not check it out, and you can cancel anytime. So let's get started. So I'm using my large size 14 brush and I'm loading it and picking up all these different colours and just painting very carefully around the edge of the anemone here, and just sort of keeping the colours loose. I'm working on light, mid and dark greens and just trying to get some really nice expressive marks. I'm just using a little bit of the Quinacridone Gold there with a tiny touch of violet and painting carefully around these beautiful white anemone flowers. I'm just using some of my watercolour pencils now and just ordinary rough sandpaper, and I'm just using some green here and just rubbing it against sandpaper, and the pigment comes off and falls onto the wet surface. Make sure it is a wet surface and that way it sticks on nicely. I'm just sprinkling a little bit of the sea salt now. You can use table salt just to create some lovely textures in your painting. I've just built up the centre there using some yellows and oranges, and I'm using the watercolour pencil to create some textures in the centre. I'm just painting a very dilute wash onto the petals of the anemones, and just make sure it's very dilute, and I'm using Quinacridone Gold, but if you don't have that you could use raw sienna or yellow ochre. I'm just painting some darks now in the centre of this left-hand anemone. If you'd like to see the longer version of this tutorial with lots more voiceovers and tips and techniques and colour mixing, why not think about the Patreon membership? Remember, you can cancel anytime. Just click the link in the top right-hand corner and it will give you more information. And please ask me if you have any questions. Back to the painting. I'm using my size 6 brush here and I'm just building up some sort of gentle, subtle tones on this anemone on the left here and just dropping in some of these darks. It's a mixture of Payne's grey, a little bit of violet, a little bit of blue. I'm trying to vary the tonal value, and use your kitchen towel or tissue if your paint runs. It's a really good tool to use, believe it or not. And I'm starting to use my twig now to scratch into the surface of this petal to create some beautiful lines for the veins in the petals. It's so much fun to use a twig. It's just an ordinary twig from the garden and I've sharpened it just with an ordinary pencil sharpener. It's so much fun to use. It's a great watercolour tool. I'm just building up some of the tones under the petals here, using a little bit of grey, just a touch of purple in there, just varying the sort of colours, and then just softening from the outside and pushing it into the darker tonal value, and it just lifts that petal up from the one underneath. I'm using my size 6 brush with lots of water and my kitchen towel on standby just in case. I have put a few more marks on the petals with my twigs, and now I am building up some of this shadow under the petal, as you can see in the reference photograph, using my size 6 brush with lots of yummy colours, wet on dry and then dropping them in, wet in wet. I'm using my size 6 brush now, just painting some really creamy darks just at the bottom of this centre here where there's a little tiny bit of shadow, and I'm just softening it here and using some water and just pushing and bossing around that little bit of paint there just to make sure I don't lose the light on my petals. I'm using my size 6 brush and this is wet on dry and it's quite a milky sort of consistency. I've rinsed my brush and I just want to soften that again as I did earlier, and I'm pushing from the outside into the dark. Don't do it the other way around where you're pulling the dark out, because it'll go too far into the light of your flower and you'll end up having a grey flower. You don't want that. I'm just building up the tonal values on this left hand anemone using Payne's grey with maybe a touch of pink and a touch of blue. I've used some cerulean now with Payne's grey, and I'm using my size 6 brush, painting wet on dry, just building up the tones on this anemone on the right, between its petals and on the petals as well. I'm just working on the centre again, just to put some warmer colours, just to really bring that centre forward to make the flower look more 3D. So I've put some Phthalo Green actually, but you can use Viridian, or you could use some Prussian blue with a tiny touch of yellow to get that very cool green. And now I've made a very, very dark, creamy green. I've actually used the Perylene Green and some of the Payne's grey and even a touch of the Quinacridone Gold just to create this really kind of colourful dark on those stems. And I'm just stippling in now some limey green with my size 6 brush into the centre here, wet on dry, to create some textures. You can always tell when I'm getting nearer to the end of the painting because I give it a little spatter, and it is my way of stopping myself from fiddling and overworking. So I'm spattering a little bit of the Quinacridone Gold or whatever you have left over in your palette, which kind of creates a bit of colour harmony. It also creates lots of texture. So I've removed my framing tape just to reveal a lovely white border, and I am delighted with this painting, and I really hope you've learned something from it and that it inspires you to have a go at painting some beautiful anemones. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this tutorial, please put them in the comments section below and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel and you will get updates of my latest videos. Thank you again for watching. Happy painting. Bye for now.